Hi everyone, welcome to the Real Estate Red Zone, brought to you from the Real Estate Center at Texas A&M University. I'm Brian Pope, Managing Editor of Tierra Grande Magazine.
And I'm Haley Reeder, Social Media Coordinator and Editor of Recon. That's Real Estate Center Online News. Edie Craig won't be joining us today. And it's our first video podcast.
Hooray!
How
hooray.
exciting! Today is Thursday, May 31st, 2018. And tomorrow's the first day of June, which marks the beginning of National Camping Month and National Great Outdoors Month. And you can celebrate the month by camping at any of Texas's 95 beautiful state parks. From Abilene State Park to the Weiler Aerial Tramway, there's surely an attraction for everyone.
And all the ones I visited are so beautiful. And to help you with your park selection, there's actually a handy-dandy mobile app from Texas State Parks and Wildlife. It gives you a profile of all of Texas parks. You can make reservations through the app. It has a calendar of events, maps for every park, rules and regulations. You can get updates on weather and water conditions there. I mean, it's a really cool, comprehensive app. So very useful tool for the month of June.
Well, that's awesome.
All right. In today's episode, we'll have headlines from Austin, Dallas, and Atascosa County. We'll also look at the latest monthly review of the Texas economy. Plus, we talk to Center Research Economist Dr. Torres and Research Associate Wesley Miller about their latest Tierra Grande article, Home Delivery, Where is All the New Housing? We'll get to all that, but first here's today's top story from U-Haul International. For the 9th consecutive year, Houston is the #1 U.S. destination city according to U-Haul's yearly migration rankings. Houston saw a 5% year-over-year increase in one-way U-Haul truck arrivals in 2017. Number 5 San Antonio and number 7 Austin are the only other Texas cities landing in the top 10. Number 16 Dallas, number 25 Fort Worth, and number 31 Plano snagged spots in U-Haul's ranking as well. The rest of the top 10 are number 2 Chicago, number 3 Orlando, Florida, number 4 Brooklyn, New York, number 6 Las Vegas, number 8 Philadelphia, number 9 Charlotte, North Carolina, beautiful area, and number 10 Columbus, Ohio. U-Haul International counts down its top 10 U.S. destination cities each year during Memorial Day weekend, the unofficial start to summer moving season. I did not know that. About 45% of moves each year occur between Memorial Day and Labor Day weekends.
Oh, I always move during that time, so I guess that makes sense.
There you go.
Let's jump into today's Recon Recap.
Let's go for it.
Dallas area home prices rose at the slowest rate in almost 6 years, and that's according to the latest Standard & Poor's Case-Shiller Home Price Index. Local prices were up 5.8% year over year in March, and the last time Dallas home prices grew at such a slow rate was 2012. Area home prices are now more than 40% higher than pre-recession prices, reported the Dallas Morning News. Until inventories increase faster than sales or the economy slows significantly, home prices are likely to continue rising, said Standard & Poor's David M. Blitzer. Compared to the price gains of the last boom in the early 2000s, things are calmer today, he said.
Did the report say anything about prices at the national level?
Actually, according to the index, nationwide home prices rose by 6.5% in March. U.S. prices are now 1% higher than they were before the housing crash in 2006. We're going to move on to a story out of Austin. Capella Capital Partners is developing North Gateway Plaza, a $250 million multi-building project at 10615 Burnett Road. The 14-story, 320,000 square foot residential part will be the first downtown-style residential tower in the Domain area. And according to the Austin American-Statesman, the development will offer 300 1-, 2-, and 3-bedroom units. The 6-story office building will have 300,000 square feet of office space and 200,000 square feet of retail space. And these two buildings will share a 7-story parking garage. Local architecture firm Page designed the towers, and the project is expected to deliver in 2021. And lastly, Fort Worth-based Black Mountain Sand is constructing a new sand mine in Atascosa County near the Eagle Ford Shale. The 2,300-acre property will churn out 2.2 million metric tons of sand annually and employ 75 people. The proposed mine's total sand capacity is already sold out through long-term contracts. And the company is financially backed by Dallas-based NGP Energy Capital, and that's according to the San Antonio Express News. And that's it for the Recon Recap.
All right. Well, fueled by oil prices of more than $60 per barrel, the Texas economy accelerated its pace of job creation in April 2018. The state gained 332,300 non-agricultural jobs from April 2017 to April 2018, an annual growth rate of 2.7%, higher than the nation's employment growth rate of 1.6%. The non-government sector added 327,500 jobs, an annual growth rate of 3.2%, also higher than the nation's employment growth rate of 1.8% in the private sector. Texas's seasonally adjusted unemployment rate in April 2018 was 4.1%, lower than the 4.5% rate in April 2017. The nation's rate decreased from 4.4 to 3.9%. Center Research Economist Dr. Ali Anari says more in his latest monthly review of the Texas economy. We posted a link to it on our podcast webpage, and while you're there, don't forget to subscribe to our email notifications to let you know when the report is published. We're going to take a quick break, but the show isn't over yet, so stick around.
Hey, Bob, I see you're reading the last issue of Tierra Grande magazine from the Real Estate Center.
Sure am. Lots of good stuff here.
Anything I might be interested in?
Yes, I was reading about technology that can be a tax deduction for our real estate business. Did you know you might be able to deduct 3D goggles?
As a matter of fact, I did.
How? This issue just arrived in the mail today.
I read the story on the Real Estate Center's website 6 weeks ago.
What?
That's right. The center publishes its research articles on their website, days, weeks, even months ahead of the print edition.
I'm off to buy some 3D goggles.
Get the research you need when you need it. Only from the Real Estate Center at Texas A&M University, helping Texans make better real estate decisions since 1971.
Welcome back to the Real Estate Red Zone. Since the turn of the 21st century, the Texas economic model has attracted significant national attention. While the U.S. economy collapsed during the Great Recession, Texas escaped most of the damage and thrived after the shale oil boom of 2011. Housing affordability was critical to the state's success, but it's quickly diminishing, the result of rapid home price increases and sluggish income growth. Earlier today, we talked to Center Research Economist Dr. Torres and Research Associate Wesley Miller about their new Tierra Grande article, Home Delivery, Where's All the New Housing? Let's check it out. Joining us today is Center Research Economist Dr. Torres and Research Associate Wesley Miller. Thanks, guys, for joining us today.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, so how did Texas escape most of the damage during the Great Recession? Luis, you first.
So that was the major reason for that was the oil boom. You know, the fracking, the oil boom helped out Texas recover faster from the Great Recession. Now, that was Houston and the major oil regions. But also we had a combination. In the case of Austin was technology. I think that helped Austin a great deal. So if you go back in time and look at the stats for Houston and Austin after the Great Recessions, they showed the strongest recovery. But if you look at Dallas-Fort Worth, they were lagging behind, and they were lagging behind. Why was that? Because the Dallas economy is more related to the U.S. economy, and it's interesting now. If you look at it now, after the oil bust in 2014, you see that Dallas-Fort Worth, as the U.S. economy recovered stronger, started to grow faster, and Houston started to slow down. Right? But basically, it was the energy boom that helped out Texas grow faster and recover faster than the rest of the country.
And since 2012, new home inventories have persisted below the 6 to 6.5 month equilibrium level. Robust demand contributed to the shortage, but depressed single-family construction activity generated the imbalance. Can you guys elaborate a little bit on the sluggish supply-side response?
So basically, just one thing you have to mention and clarify and make something more specific. The low months of inventory are specifically for homes below $300,000. I think that's where the major issue is. If you want to build a home that's above $500,000, or you're not going to find an issue as compared if you want to buy a house or build a home below $300,000. That's where the major constraints are coming from especially from the supply side. So going back to simple economics, you have strong demand and you have constrained supply, right? And that's pushing down the low inventories, especially for those price ranges below $300,000, where the majority of the home market sales are.
And the problem with building homes under $300,000 is a changed price structure for developers. There's been increased regulation that's made it difficult to get financing for land development. So land prices have increased a lot in the past 10 years. There's increased zoning restrictions that's making it difficult for developers to meet, kind of cut through all the red tape, and that's caused increased prices. Also input prices, lumber costs stemming from tariffs and trade disputes with Canada, and also just in general price increases with cement and all the inputs involved with building a house have increased and really pinched the pockets of suppliers and made it difficult to provide affordable housing under $300,000.
Over the past 20 years, the proportion of sales price attributed to land cost has increased fivefold in Texas. What's contributing to that increase in land cost?
So going back to the simple supply and demand, you have a strong demand to build new homes. You need to develop lots. So to develop those lots, you have to get financing. It goes back to Wesley's point of the effects of regulation. If you look at the data for commercial loans for land development, they haven't come back to the pre-Great Recession levels. So why is that? Regulation has affected that. So let's say you want a loan to develop land, especially if you're a medium or smaller builder, it's really difficult to do that. Even if you see the strong demand in housing, you say, oh my God, this is a great time to build a house. We should be building more houses. But what happens, you go to the bank, oh, I need to build more lots, we need more lots. Because you never think about Texas, lack of land, right? We're not restricted by sea or by mountains. We have plenty of land. But the problem is we don't have plenty of developed land. And that goes back to the idea of effective regulation. It's really difficult to get a loan to develop land, especially if you're a medium and small builder. So that's been constraining, and that's been pushing up prices. So what happens? If you think about anything you produce, any input, one of the major inputs in home construction is land, right? So you start there. So land you have strong demand, constrained supply, so that pushes up prices. So there's the first price increase. And then Wesley mentioned the prices increases in another input of lumber. Then you see lumber increases. So you start adding up, right? The blocks of cost, boom, prices are higher. So it's really difficult to build a home with a price tag below $300,000. Almost impossible if you want to make a profit, right?
Mm-hmm. Can you explain about the issues with the rising commodity prices? You touched on that before.
Yeah, so I think the main focus here is lumber, and current estimates put lumber about 15% of the home price. And starting in 2017, we've had a trade dispute with Canada, a large supplier of softwood lumber, for decades now. But starting in 2017, we reinstated tariffs on their lumber, averaging about 20%. So that's a 20% tariff on an input that constitutes 15% of the home price. So that's a main focus and challenge that home builders are facing that's putting a lot of upward price pressure on the supply side.
And also, what the main complaint from the home building industry is the lack of skilled labor. Where did it go?
So this is an interesting thing because Wesley and I did a current analysis of what's happening with home building, and if you look at the official statistics for labor, total labor in the residential construction industry, you're going to find that the labor is back. The levels of labor after 2017, I think third quarter, they're actually back to the levels pre-2007. So labor is there. Like total labor is it's there. Now, if you look also to complement that analysis, to look at wage growth, you'll find also that it's not risen that much. So that's kind of interesting to find that the home builders are complaining for the lack of labor, but you're not seeing the stats. You're not seeing wage pressures on laborers and home residential construction, and you're not seeing the number of them. Maybe specialized labor, skilled labor, because we're not measuring that. That could be a constraint there. But overall, if you look at the whole industry, you see that labor's back, and wages are not rising as fast as you would expect with constrained labor conditions or labor shortages.
So just looking at the official numbers, we have the same amount of employees or residential construction workers in the industry, and they're getting paid relatively the same amount after accounting for inflation, but we're building far fewer houses than we were prior to the recession. So there's another trend, there's something else that's happening here. We've got a theory that may be not reflected in the numbers. We think after the recession, it's been shown that there's been heavy decreases in illegal immigration to the United States. And these are employees that wouldn't be picked up in the official numbers. So we both think that maybe we're seeing the same amount of residential construction workers in the industry producing fewer houses. We think maybe that's reflecting fewer undocumented workers in the industry.
Very interesting. And despite all of this waning housing affordability, Texas conditions still remain relatively favorable. Why do you think that is?
Well, the thing is, it's not going to go away in a couple. It's that fast, right? It takes time. But the trend is that we're observing after 2012, specifically, if you look at real disposable income for the state of Texas and compared to housing prices in the state of Texas, you go back all the way back to the 1970s. It's interesting to see how disposable income in Texas would always grow faster than housing prices, right? But after 2012, after that strong demand and the lack of supply, the choice of supply of new housing, you see that change. Now, housing prices are growing at a faster rate than income levels. So you're starting to see that we're losing that comparative advantage in housing affordability. So it's not that you're going to lose it right away, right? Oh my God, we lost it, and tomorrow we're less affordable. But the process is there. If you look at the data now, you see the trend. Now the issue is that income is not growing. That's a major issue facing the whole nation, not only Texas. Incomes per capita are been flat for a long time, especially after 2000. It's not like this trend has been coming up since before even the Great Recession. Incomes have not risen as fast as we saw before. And the major issue facing that is productivity, lack of productivity. We can't explain why productivity in the U.S., especially after 2000, after the Great Recession, is still stagnant. It's not risen. People argue that maybe it's not been shown in the stats because we're lagging the new technology that we're observing with the cell phone, right? Cell phones now, like there's always these cool cartoons that instead of carrying my camera, my laptop, my agenda, I can just carry everything in my little cell phone, right? But some argue that we haven't seen that growth in productivity because it's lagging behind, like we did in the 90s or the 80s. There was a famous quote from Solow, a famous economist, Nobel laureate. It said in 1980, it says, "Well, look, all these computers, and it doesn't show in the productivity figures or in the growth figures, but it did show in the 1990s, 1980s. Mm-hmm. So it takes time. So we're facing some interesting structural issues in the U.S. Now our population also is not growing as fast. That affects growth also. Going back to the idea of what's going to happen with immigration, maybe complement since population is not growing anymore as fast as we did in the past. Labor force participation is decreasing. So you have all these conundrums, all these issues facing the U.S. economy that is affecting our income growth. Productivity. Basically, if you want to grow more, productivity has to grow more. And those things are affecting us. So that's a major issue that we continue to face, because even if income doesn't grow, and imagine prices continue to grow, that's going to affect affordability going forward. Right? So those are the things. And the other major issues facing, one of the things that the major issue is that technology hasn't kept up. Education hasn't kept up with technology. So those wages, those labors have, we've lost automation also. A major issue facing the world, our country and the world's automation, right? And you've seen that skill gap widen between the high-skilled laborers and the low-skilled laborers, and you have eliminated the medium-skilled laborers. So that's all these issues. I'm sorry, I'm putting a lot of things in the last thing, but that's all the things we're going to face going forward, not only in the state, but in the country. And that's why, but the issue here that we have to focus is that affordability, we're losing that comparative advantage in affordability. And going back to Wes's mentioning is regulation. We're losing, now we see this after the Harvey effects in Houston. We see that now they want to raise the 500-year floodplain plus 2 feet. And that's going to have regulation costs. As an example, a perfect example of regulation costs that can affect the price of new homes. So all of that stuff, things. So we have to be careful here in Texas, because we're losing that. And if you increase the burden of regulation on it, that can affect also home prices.
And further evidence of that is the migratory patterns within the United States. So Texas is still attracting a lot of workers from other states.
Yes.
It's still a favorable place to live, but the rate is decreasing. During and after the Great Recession, when Texas was outperforming the rest of the nation, it was being flooded with skilled workers and people looking for opportunities, and that rate started to decrease as the rest of the nation's picked up, and Texas is starting to grapple with the housing affordability issue.
Well, thank you both for joining us today. I really appreciate you guys coming in. And everyone, you should go check out their article. It's Home Delivery. Where are all the new housing? Thanks again for joining.
Thanks.
Thank you for having us.
That's all the time we have for today. Until next week, check us out on social media. Friend us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram. We would love to connect with you. And if you have any questions to ask or comments to share, feel free to message us on Facebook or tweet us at TexRec with the hashtag AskTexRec. You can also email us at info@recenter.tmu.edu.
Thanks for joining us today in the Real Estate Red Zone, brought to you by the Real Estate Center in College Station, Texas, where we've been helping Texans make better real estate decisions since 1971. This is Haley Reeder.
And this is Brian Pope. We'll see you next time.
Bye, everyone.